Hello, Paul here, aka Alessandra. This is a long one, so I'll keep it short. Oh, wait a minute. What's this? A letter addressed to me. Hold up. Dear Paul, please,
could you do this week's intro? We've been working overtime recently, and as you know, Mike really does like to get his money's worth. Frankly, we're knackered. I just wish he'd pipe down for a bit. Thanks very much, Mike's vocal cords.
Just as well then. Don't say we didn't warn you. Please enjoy episode 65, Burple Drain.
It's quite good you posted on social media earlier, because actually I'd completely forgotten we were supposed to be playing until like half past 7. I thought, better eat.
Oh, good. Well, there we are.
It looms large.
It does. It looms large in the mind. There's me on my train back from London thinking, God, I better make it. God, I'm a bit worried if I'm going to make it in time. Turn up. Nobody knows that we're here. Nobody knows we're playing. Now, we have an interesting situation. I don't think we need to recap particularly. How are things? Oh, shall we peer into Paul's engorged sack? Yeah, and do the mailbag?
Well, I had a look earlier. It's not a pretty sight. So.
It's not a pretty sight. We've had a very nice comment on episode 39, which is the one with the argument in the cave about the gems and all that stuff.
Oh, yes. Remember
I
that?
just could not depart your site before suggesting that I extremely loved the usual information a person providing your guests.
Oh.
Is
That's
going to be
very
back
nice.
often in order to check up on new posts. That's from Earn Online, which is an odd name, coming from the 70s, Earn, isn't it? Anyway,
Well, I think that's very helpful.
right, okay, let's start. Let's think about the situation we are in. I'm saying it is just past, a little after 11 o'clock at night on the evening of Sunday, the 28th of February. So your bout is at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, if my memory serves me correctly. So you've still got quite a bit of time. If you're again, everything is up to you. But if I remember your discussion from last week, it went along the lines of we probably want to be in bed by midnight for our 8 hours rest to be ready by 8 o'clock tomorrow to give ourselves a bit of wiggle room. Was that fair enough?
Yeah,
That's a pretty good recap.
So, what are we going to do? You've got time to still do stuff. You've got this pipe that Buggy is sort of, let's say has crawled 2/3 of the way down and has discovered this sort of cyst chamber, this kind of cylindrical chamber, pretty much full of awful grub. Probably this awful Ulgostasta creature that you've heard about from Eligos when she was talking about the apostolic scrolls. Yeah,
That's right.
so she says
Thank you for
apostolic
linking those two things together.
Yeah,
because
she
I
says
hadn't.
right. She says the apostolic scrolls, or she warned that the apostolic scrolls, in her understanding, could be used to summon this kind of gargantuan undead worm beast thing.
Which has
This
obviously
looks
been
like
summoned
that's
already.
what's going on there. Probably.
Is this a
that's too
recap,
much of a
Mike?
coincidence. Yeah. Say again.
Is this a recap?
No, I'm just we're just chatting about it.
Sounds suspiciously like a recap.
And then you got a door with screaming behind it. That's pretty much your two options in this little area under the wine cellar.
Do we think we can use the wine, pour it down this pipe, and then set a light to the grub?
You might be able to. How are you looking for things like hit point spells,
Don't need
resources?
brandy or something. I don't think
I've
you can set
used
fire to
wine.
wine.
I think I've
Wine's
used
not
just
flammable
one
enough.
spell, and I'm on 4 hit points.
You're in pretty good nick. And you've got,
Actually, I've used
50
2
minutes.
spells.
let's say it's 10 past 11. 50 minutes is a long time in D&D world.
Yeah.
Don't know what you want to do.
I'm going to be a real party pooper here because I wasn't here last week.
You're not leaving
But-
now, are you?
No. Do we not think it would be a good idea at this point to actually go and find Eligos and tell her
No.
before we start engaging this
No.
massive creature?
Oh, of course, you were at the North Pole last week, weren't you, Lucas?
Yes.
If you are the real Lucas, of course.
Well,
But aren't we sort of semi-confined to the gladiatorium? Are we allowed to wander off?
Johnny, you're right. That your sense is that once you enter the arena for the games, that's kind of it.
And Graham, you don't think wine's flammable enough in alcohol content?
Have you? No, I don't know. Have you ever tried setting fire to wine? don't think
Yeah,
you.
so I wouldn't have thought so.
So
We could
I
discreate
can't
water.
imagine this is going to be sort of like affected by just a little bit of fire.
There's brandy upstairs.
there's brandy. I mean, that we certainly could try.
I mean, if we're going to attack this thing, then surely we've got to go all guns blazing with fireballs and God
Yeah.
knows what.
Yeah, that's
A
what we do.
bit of brandy and a lighter.
No,
doesn't sound-
there's a cellar of, I was thinking of pouring the whole lot down and then setting a light to it. It can't get out, just as a starter.
You think
anyway.
it can't get out?
Well, it's just stuck in a big chamber, isn't
So
it?
this
Well,
basically,
but we don't know any of the rest of the chamber.
Yeah, but it's bound to be an opening at the
Bound
top.
to be a huge, yeah.
They're going to release this into the arena. It's going to infect all the crowd.
Yes, for the benefit of the reader. Hello, reader. Good evening. I've put in on our map this chamber with an admittedly slightly friendly-looking grub
Yes,
figure.
The
that
very
looks
hungry
more-
caterpillar.
Yeah, okay. It looks like some sort of thing from a story. Yeah.
How big is this thing?
Well, I mean, this is the thing. So, admittedly, the budget wouldn't stretch to
Yeah. To a full
the full
size.
thing.
Yeah.
No, fills the chamber up to about 2 feet. Buggy's view of the chamber is actually just the view of the end of the pipe, the aperture opening, and then a sort of, as it were, a wall of grub. He can sort of infer the size of the chamber a little bit from how this thing moves about. It's pulsating, and you can kind of see weird movements inside its flobbily segmented form. So this is only representative. You can't see the boundaries of the chamber, and from where Uncle Buggy is, this pipe is slightly sloping down, right? So, and he can't see if this chamber has got a roof, for example. He's not close enough to get that kind of view. I know you don't like me recapping, but I think you would probably be a bit cross with me if I didn't remind you that when you have thrown light pebbles and indeed a normal pebble down this tube, in a sort of moment of experimentation, they both bounced back before they got to the end of the tube off some sort of invisible, I don't know, barrier.
Wall of force.
Rubbery barrier
It's
that
in
you
a
get.
protective sheath.
You don't know, but I just,
Or
you
a
know.
platinum, or a gelatinous cube.
Well, that was one of your suggestions. It would be a very small gelatinous cube if it is fitting in the part of the pipe that right before the chamber.
But it could be.
But it could be, yeah.
It's in some kind of
I don't know. If you throw a pebble at a gelatinous cube, doesn't it just sort of go
coop
yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
probably. Yeah, probably.
like
Couldn't
into
Graham
mud?
just stand there with his spirit guardians and just whittle it down?
It's surrounded in some kind of what
Could
you call
try.
it? Ammonious. No, what's it called?
But that's
Well,
not
there's a
going to
sort of
stop the spirit
there is a sort of
guardians.
it could be some sort of awful malevolent amnion.
Amnious
Lucas.
sac.
Yeah,
yes.
if that's what you're an awful amniotic thing.
being
Amniotic
grown.
sac. That's the word.
It could be that, or it could be
Yeah.
something. It could be something else. You haven't interacted with it.
It
So
could
you
be.
just don't
We
know.
could try.
Is it
and
a
burst
caterpillar
and see
or a
what
worm?
happens.
It's a grub. I think where I've gone with this in terms of my mind and the description I've got is witchetty grub, but the size of a bus.
A bus.
A bus. How long?
Well, I mean, this chamber looks like it's 25 feet across. So what you can see of it.
yeah.
I mean, you don't know whether or not it's vertical and you're looking at the side of it, right?
Yeah.
Or if it's
Okay.
curled up, like the poo
Is this
emoji,
Quatermass
and you're
in the
looking at the
pit?
wall of it. I don't know. I've never seen Quatermass in the pit.
Oh, so
Oh, have you not?
weird film. Yeah, it's good.
God, that
Um,
frightened the life out of me. That film. I had nightmares for days.
How old were you?
I don't know, 9
6.
or something. It was like.
It would have to
freaked me
do. I was taken to see Dougal and the Blue Cat when I was 4, and that is my formative fear moment that I still can't clear from my mind.
Mine was Wizard of Oz. I
Was
had, to
that-
be, I had to be
oh,
taken
God,
out of the room.
The winged monkeys.
out. Yeah.
This worm is enormous, but it might be standing on its end in a very tall
Yeah.
silo, or it might be curled up in a sort of spherical thing. But you're not
Right.
close enough to find out.
Right.
Well,
And then, of course, you've got the door with the terrifying screaming behind it.
So Graham could just stand here and whittle away at this. hit
Yeah,
points.
which you keep reminding yourself.
So why do we do it?
All I'm doing is I'm just saying you've got, you're making a decision about how to spend your next 50 minutes.
Okay.
You
So-
could spend your next 50 minutes getting back to the scenery.
So is Graham's thing having any effect?
Graham's thing isn't anywhere near it yet, surely.
No, I think
Well,
it
you
might
can-
be
yeah,
in
it
it. I
looks
think
like-
my
yeah.
thing is clearly getting close to it. Shall I advance?
Yeah, just move up. And
Yeah, move up a bit and then suddenly.
Oh, I
See
don't want to
what
go
happens.
into the tube of.
Don't want to go any further than
no,
that. No,
just nothing.
No, that's about close
certainly
enough.
not. Yeah, no, I'll go.
Okay.
There.
So you're all clustered around in this room with this apparatus, apart from Alessandra, who is hiding round the corner. I presume this is because Paul, dear reader, Paul has had to disappear off briefly to take more pills because Paul is being, I don't know, he's steadily morphing from a human to a machine, isn't he, over the course of...
I think he is, and I think the drugs that facilitate that that metamorphosis are
Yeah.
having an effect.
I've requested Robocop.
Yeah.
Yes,
He's more machine than man
Yeah.
now. Anyway, yeah, so Alessandra's hiding. Okay, Buggy is... So, Buggy, you've...
I've bugged out. I've gone gone out of the room to
Yeah.
the corner by Alexandra.
Cool.
You've bugged out.
He's bugged out.
Well, I'm not
This
defending
worm-
the.
This worm is pulsing, but it's not reacting to you. You don't get the sense that it's like, ooh, what's this? If worms, I don't know what worms sound like, but I'm sure they don't sound like that.
Okay, I'm going to tie a rope round myself to one of these barrel things in this room with the machinery, and then shuffle a little bit down the tube and see whether the spirit guardians annoy it.
Ooh,
The spirit guardians,
brave.
very brave. The spirit guardians, I am sorry to say, don't seem to annoy it. Sessions, they don't seem to whirl past this point that you've established where the
A
light
wall of
pebble bounced
force.
back from.
Okay, well, in that case, I decide that was very brave, and that's brave enough, and I'll move myself back into the centre of the party, untying
Evil
myself.
magic.
And I
There's
will
one
relay
other
this.
detail that we discussed last time, which I've not, again, because we haven't had a recap because you find them so annoying. But again, maybe I should just, you might get cross with me if I then later,
It's going to be a recap, isn't it?
is that, no, that this chamber is lit by some sort of crackling, evil green energy from somewhere.
If you remember, I have a see invisibility running.
You do, fine.
Yeah,
cool,
and I
yes.
threw the pebble, and I didn't see anything. It just bounced off nothing.
It bounced off nothing. There's not like an invisible. Oh, I see your question. Yeah, no, there's not like somebody's put a little barrier across the thing and then turned it invisible. No, whatever it is that's a barrier is in fact not visible rather than invisible.
I will do a detect magic
A detect
Down-
magic
that corridor
down the pipe.
down the pipe.
5
Yeah.
by 5. Okay. Well, yes. Yes, there's magic.
What do I learn
Loads
about
and
it?
loads and
Yes.
loads of magic. What do you learn about it? Well, what do you learn about it? Help me. Help me.
For the duration, you sense the presence of magic within 30 feet of you. If you sense magic
Yeah.
in this way, you can use your action to see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic, and you learn its school of magic, if any. The spell can penetrate most barriers, but it is blocked by 1 foot of stone, 1 inch of common metal, a thin sheet of lead, or 3 feet of wood or dirt.
Right. Certainly the thing that's stopping you finding out any more is magical.
Yeah.
And it's an abjuration. A strong abjurative and necromantic aura seems to be filling the end of the pipe and rather blocking your ability to peer further with your detect magic, as it were, into the chamber.
It's that thing that I'm interested in,
Yeah.
though. And it doesn't show up. It doesn't, I can't
You don't get
see
an aura. What it says, I think, in your spell, it says visible things. You can
Yes.
see an aura.
It does.
So it's not a visible thing. So you can't see an aura.
It's not visible. It's not invisible. It's just
No, you can't see it, but it's not. The reason you can't see it is not because it's got an invisibility cast on it.
no. Well, it's not. It's not invisible. So see invisibility. That doesn't.
You've
just
been guessing.
reveal-
You've been guessing wall of force, abjuration. And it has an abjuration aura. You can't throw things past it. It's the only thing that's a little odd is none of you are great scholars of magic, or pretty much none of you are great scholars of anything. But your recollection of such a spell as a wall of force is that you're talking about something that's like glass. I mean, not glass as in
Yeah.
fragile, but
Yeah.
like something that's like. And this is not like that. So if it is a wall of force, it's a sort of weird wall of force with a very strong necromantic. There's a very strong
Yeah.
necromantic element going on.
So
Yeah,
it's this.
there you go.
This spell is basically some kind of godly level environment, which has summoned, or is in the process of summoning and growing this thing, which they're going to release
mean,
at some point.
Basically, you're not. Yeah, I'm not going to contradict you if
Right.
that's your estimation. I could neither confirm or deny.
What I think is that the answer is somewhere else. I don't think this is. I think this is the thing that we now have to try and stop, and we have to find these scrolls. I would imagine.
Yes,
I
I think
mean-
you're right.
So do we want to figure out what's behind the shouty door? Or do you think that's just
Oh,
another
yeah. I think it's just a
disaster
banshee.
waiting to happen?
I think that's a disaster waiting to happen.
I think anything's a
don't know
disaster
about
waiting
that.
to happen.
I think we need to investigate.
Have we
That's what
looked
I
down the
think.
well?
We have looked down the well.
You've looked down the well. I mean, it drops. Let me refresh my and your memory.
It looked like it was a place where they just drop rubbish.
Yeah, it looks like it's where they drop stuff that they don't want. I mean, it looks like it's a sort of, and it seems to drop straight down to what sounds like running water. So maybe it drops into a bit of natural underground stream or rivulet, or maybe it drops down to the sewers or something. I mean, you couldn't quite work. Your geography of this place is whatever, but you feel like you're still inside the ring, right? Even though you're in a weird bit that you didn't realize was there. I mean, do the sewers run in that area? That's not your experience.
It could be a way out, though. How
Could
far
well be a
down
way
does it
out.
seem to go?
It looks about 15 feet. You can see before it. You look down 15 feet, and you can see water flowing to your sort of north. I mean, you don't really care about this, but northwest. Yes, past the bottom of the chute. And that you can infer, therefore, that there is a slope, because otherwise the water would not be flowing.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
15 feet, did you say?
It's only 15 feet, yeah.
I think that the screaming is possibly where the scrolls are, and I think the big worm thing is the big worm thing, and those are two things we're going to have to deal with, interrupted by doing bouts of combat above, because it kind of makes sense. The banshee protecting the scrolls.
How would we get past this aura?
This aura with
Good question.
the big worm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No idea.
This
It could be another
noise
way
that's
in at a different level.
Yes,
above
exactly.
or below.
Yes, exactly. That's what I think.
I guess the
But
question
I think
that we don't really know
I think
is,
the
is
whole
the
area
chamber
will be protected.
is the chamber specially constructed, or why is there this little side passage into it that's blocked off?
Has anyone
Feeding?
got any kind of investigatey, wizard eye type things?
The apparatus that this pipe forms part of looks like it's. I mean, you think it looks like it's something to do with pumping water or some kind of heating system that's been long neglected. You don't think you're looking at something that's been built recently for this purpose. You think you're looking at something that happens to connect into something. Just so happens. I mean, you don't know what this chamber that this worm is in may have originally been made for. Burple, you're heading back down to the terrifying screamy door.
Yeah, tell me about the screaming. What kind of screaming is it?
Well, it sounds like it's loud screaming. It would be loud, but for the fact that this door is unusually well insulated and padded.
Yeah, but is
and
it
reinforced.
like the screaming ravings of a madman, or someone in pain, or someone was feral, or
I mean, you could you wrap all of those up and add a dash of necromantic malevolence, and you've basically got it.
so a harpy?
Banshee.
Didn't we find
Banshee, sorry.
Banshee? Yeah.
Harple, Banshal.
I've blocked my ears with wax, by the way.
Pardon?
Pardon?
Baden.
Very nice place, Baden.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to this well. It sticks up, right? So I could tie a rope around it and lower it down.
No, it's just a pit. There's a lantern above it. I don't know that the lantern has any particular.
Depth of there's a lantern above it. Is that attached to something? Is there anywhere I can tie
I'm
a rope?
saying, yes, I would say the lantern must be. I mean, why not? It would be an oil lamp hanging from the center of the ceiling illuminates the pit.
Tie
so
a rope around it
Yes.
and shimmy down the hole.
Okay. Excellent.
I've got
Excellent.
a detect magic running. I've got see invisible.
Yeah.
Is there
yeah.
any?
Yeah. This is brilliant. Okay, hold up. Let me try and keep up with you. Down the funny pit.
Down the hole.
Down the hole. Okay. Yeah. Well, you shimmy down about 15 feet and you find yourself ankle calf deep in a relatively fast flowing water that seems clean. I mean, it doesn't seem sludgy. It doesn't feel like it's sewer water. You feel like you've hit either a natural underground rivulet or a sewer that is near the source, so it's not, packed with shit. And
Level-wise,
That's it.
that's
Okay.
bottom of the sewer. Where
you
is that
think
relative
there's room,
to the floor?
There's room to you reckon to crouch down. You'd have to crouch down, Burple. You're what, 5 foot, 6 foot tall?
Yep, something like that.
You'd have to crouch down, and the footing would be unsteady beneath you. But you reckon you could get into that little tunnel with the water flowing into it?
But what I'm
The way the
failing
water
to understand.
Yeah, the water coming into where you're standing is coming from is gushing from an aperture that you wouldn't be able to get to, but you could go the way that the water is going.
What I'm trying to understand is this a natural cavern that this water is flowing down, or is this like a sewer cavern, or is it like a
It
pipe?
looks like a natural. It's difficult to
natural.
be absolutely categorical about it, but you'd say likelihood is that it's natural.
Okay. And the water fills this pipe or tunnel, or does
No,
it?
the tunnel. If you duck
Right.
your head down, you would be kind of sloshing along with water up to I don't know, midway between knee and waist.
But it's not
Yes.
too. It's not too strong to knock me off my feet or carry me
You're
away.
not sure about that. You don't know.
Okay. Well, I'll tie the rope around my waist.
Yes.
How
How long is the rope?
50 feet.
Okay.
I used to have a rope of climbing, but I sold it.
You did. Okay, so 50 foot of rope, yes.
Yeah.
And you start working your way down the passageway. You've got dark vision.
Yes. Do I have
Okay.
dark vision? Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay, so immediately you need to make a dexterity. No, give me an acrobatics check.
Acrobatics.
Okay. It doesn't take long before you hit a.
16.
That's fine. You hit a sudden dip. It's like the water park. Yeah, it's like woo,
Yeah.
woo. So you get about 10 feet, and then suddenly it just the floor, your next step, your foot just goes and keeps going, and you're like, fucking hell! Brace yourself against the side of the thing, kind of tentatively lure yourself down. Then you're into the next step, and on and on. There's some nasty stuff in this pipe that's obviously been chucked down the pit and hasn't made it all the way down. Yep. You end up emerging into. You can hear. Okay, well, before you, I'm not going to make decisions for you. You travel about 50 feet. You get to almost the end of your rope when you realise that pretty close to you, 20, 30 feet away, perhaps. It sounds more echoey, more open. It sounds like maybe this little pipe opens out into a larger space.
Okay, I'll go back up, get an extra bit of rope so I can go
Yeah.
a bit further.
Yeah, do that, and you can make it out to a chamber, which I will show you. You emerge into a chamber, Burple. Let me just unfold a new map for you here. Just lay it out. Right, so what you can see, I'm being nice about your dark vision, but you can see it's a low-ceilinged grotto, Burple.
Okay.
It's completely flooded by murky, foul-smelling water. So the water flowing past you into this thing is relatively clean. Yeah, but this is obviously where stuff collects. It's like a sump.
Nice.
There are piles of drenched rubbish and debris. Should we use the English pronunciation?
Debris.
And debris. And rotting flotsam kind of bobbing about. It's basically shut down all the garbage mashes on the detention level.
Yeah.
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 In fact, let's say the lighting is slightly orangey. The dirty water is flowing somewhere because there is a curry. There is a current. There's a curry. There's also a curry, which is
Okay.
useful.
I'm hungry.
The water must be flowing somewhere. It's emerging. The water level is static, stable. So it's going somewhere. You just don't know where. There are sort of. It looks like probably a product of the fact that so much horrible stuff is kind of sploopling about in here. That's some rather unfortunate looking kind of gelatinous organisms
Yes.
are kind of coating the wall. Not talking about things that move, but you know there are some nasty, weird, flora, fauna. Who knows?
Okay. Okay, that's
You've
and I
learned
can't
something.
see any further.
That's what you can see with the extent of your dark vision. You think that there's more cavern than you can see,
Yeah.
but I'm just marking up on the map what you can see with your dark vision. Your dark vision does reveal what you think might be an outlet to your right, Burple. Can you see that?
Yes.
And that looks like a narrow pipe. That looks like it's more like the aperture that you couldn't travel up when you first dropped down the pit where the water was coming from. It looks like that opening is not big enough for you to keep your head above water if going into it.
Okay, I'll head back
Okay.
and report what I have found.
Okay, do you want to give me, before you head back, do you want to give me a couple of perception checks? I'm just being friend guide storyteller here.
First one, 8.
Okay, and the second one?
And the second one,
We've had sort of different
11.
things. Well, 11 is not the end of the world. You can take this as seriously as you wish, but your judgment looking at this sump of liquid is that the water is flowing away from you to your left and out into the cavern. So I'm going to give you a mark on the map. It seems to be kind of concentrating in that direction. Yes. What I'm really
Say
saying
again?
is that you were trying to work out where the water was going, since the
Right.
water level seemed to be stable, and it looks like that the flow, to the extent that you can determine any kind of evidence of a current on the surface of this stuff, with little bits of horribleness moving about, you think it's off to your left and further off into the darkness is where that current is heading, and then you go back.
So trying to
Yeah.
get my bearings.
Oh, I mean, you don't know where you are. That's the beauty of this. I'm very pleased with this. You're not sure, Burple. I mean, you've turned through about 2 or 3 staircases. You've wandered around that circular thing upstairs. You've then gone down a pipe, and then you've turned again. Then you've gone round, and you've come out into this chamber. And frankly, unless you had some kind of special skill which allowed you to orient yourself, you're not quite sure where you are.
I think we keep searching. We don't necessarily need to take on the Banshee,
No.
but I think
Always assuming it is a banshee.
assuming it is a Banshee, yeah.
Or a banshee.
I want to hit something.
You always want to hit
I'm a
something.
barbarian. I get got a nervous twitch.
That's your definition of D&D, Johnny.
Well, yes,
is
I've got a nervous twitch. I need to bash something.
hitting things.
Search the place for secret doors before we leave. Is what?
Yeah, you can search, and you find zip.
Okay. I
Let's
vote
say-
we go back up and keep searching upstairs.
I think fair enough to say that that's taken you 10 minutes. Does that seem reasonable? Burple's expedition.
How far
Yeah.
is it to Elagos's house?
Oh, I mean, it's a couple. I
Couple
think
of
it's about a
minutes?
mile and a half. But you'd have to get out of the stadium.
I think I'd like to go where Burple's been and do some more searching, because I've got probably better search skills, I think,
Right.
if that's
But what are you
okay with
searching
everybody.
for?
I mean, I can hear the medication in you, Paul. I can feel your anger.
Search for searchy stuff.
Searchy for secret doors.
I think I'd like to go and...
Well, that's. I was assuming that all of us searched this area. Are you talking about going down the pipe?
He's talking about
I'm
going down the
I'm
pipe.
talking about going
Yeah.
down the pipe and doing a bit more of a thorough job,
Well, there's gelatinous things on the wall.
but not touching them, obviously.
What would be
No, sorry.
interesting?
No, I'm not.
what
Sorry, I
would
don't
be
mean down the
interesting
pipe.
to-
I mean down where you've just
Oh.
been, down the well.
That's what I
would
mean.
be-
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, we both mean...
yeah,
we
we
both mean the same thing.
the same thing, Paul. Yeah.
What would
Okay.
be interesting to do is to map this out such that we work out where an opening in the ceiling of the chamber of the grub is actually in relation to the Cenobie and the stadium.
But I don't think that... I think I would be being doubly cruel not to give you a sense of that. Because it's not that difficult to work out which direction you've gone in.
Presumes we'd
You-
be mapping as we go.
You reckon, in a moment that will not... In a realization that will not surprise you in the least, Parker.
That area in next to the
the-
ceiling.
you
Exactly into
this-
the middle of the stadium.
This circle, this chamber may basically be directly under the middle, or thereabouts, of this circular corridor, the one that runs around beneath the arena floor itself. So,
Was there not something in the arena? I've forgotten the map. Wasn't there actually some wood podium or something in the middle of the arena?
I vote we go up and continue searching. I think, Paul, if you want to search that place, that's a good idea. But I don't think that we've got time to kind of all hang around while you do it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd prefer that we all kind of stuck together. So if we don't have time, let's go back up.
Isn't this an interesting place? Because essentially it was hidden.
Yes.
Yes, this whole place is hidden behind a secret wall.
And then with a big vat of oil to keep the smell away of the undead. So
Yes, and also a very heavily insulated door, clearly that prevents sound escaping from beyond it. It looks like this whole area is set up basically to, not to draw attention to itself. I mean, obviously, once you're in it, it's a terribly terrifying place. But
Right.
you're heading back.
do we have
Yeah.
a silence spell?
I don't.
I don't think you do.
Unless you do. It's a
Yeah,
cleric spell.
I don't think I do.
Okay.
Let me consult my extraordinarily short list of spells.
You've got your pass without trace. I think we just determined
Yeah.
you didn't have silence as one of your spell
Options,
load.
yeah, I'm pretty certain I don't. I mean, the other thing we could do, of course, is scout for another way in, so that should we
That's a good
get
idea.
ourselves eliminated,
Well, that's what I think that that sewer might be.
well, should we have a look at that then?
Well, like I say, I think we could maybe split into two groups, but I think we need to keep searching. I think there's other places we haven't looked.
Did I say 10 minutes? So let's say 20 past 11, 40 minutes until midnight.
So Paul, we give Paul 10 minutes
Where's Paul
You can
going?
down the well.
Oh, he's going down the well. Okay, we give him 10
And
minutes.
just give it another kind of look.
Tie
to
Paul
see-
to 100 foot of rope, drop him. We can zoom through this. You tie Paul to 100 foot of rope, you drop him down the well. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go down as well, but I'll hang out at the opening into that chamber. So we
Okay, so the two of you are in this chamber now. You, Paul, you've not seen it before, but Burple guides you firmly.
Yeah.
What is
okay.
your perception, Paul?
6?
Mine's 5.
Okay.
So you and Burple are now. Burple's in the aperture and the opening of this pool.
There's two islands in the middle, one on the east and one on the west. I'd like to kind of head along the wall of the cavern, heading in a kind of a northeast direction towards that island.
Okay, well that takes you towards where Burple thinks that another aperture is
Yeah.
that you wouldn't be able to walk down because it's too narrow, and that water is not flowing into but out from, so contributing to the lake. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you find it.
Okay. And I'd want to kind of get onto the island.
Sure, the island is just, well, I mean, it's just a kind of lump of rock that's slightly
Yeah.
sticking out. Yeah.
Do you have dark vision, Paul?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of doing a daylight spell in the middle of the room.
Okay.
I'm very sorry, Paul.
Mhm.
I misled you. Water is flowing out of this little dark aperture. So you've got two currents leading out of this area. Yep.
I'm going to do a
Okay.
daylight spell in the middle of the room, Mike.
Okay, well, you can see, I
On
can
that
reveal.
island, in the western
Yeah, I shall
island.
reveal more room to you. It looks like there's a little bay, as it were, off to your north. There is a clear aperture that looks like it's tall enough, large enough for one of you to actually slosh down and not be immersed. In the bottom left-hand corner of this lake, if we're talking about it as a map that we're looking at. Yeah. And something else. Sloobling about on the ceiling and clearly now taking notice of you that there's a daylight spell and you've been sloshing about are some weird kind of, as it were, it was almost difficult to make them out as part of the more general fauna of the ceiling. But seemingly sort of moving towards you very slowly are some sort of ochre gelatinous elements that are sort of gently squiggling their way towards you. We're not going to roll initiative because you've got an opportunity to duck back. They're not intelligent, these creatures. Yeah, but if you feel that if you hung around for much longer, they might concentrate, zero in on you and maybe start trying to jelly you up.
Okay. How do they seem to move fast, or are they slow?
No, they move. They're absolute lightning. These things. They're famously, these jellies are just super. No, I mean they're like, you think they probably move. I don't know, 10. I mean they're not super slow. They slither and slobble, but they're not like buggies, like 100 zillion feet around, right?
Yeah.
A turn. These things are, I mean, 10 feet, something like that. So they can slither away with the best of them, but they're not going to catch you if you decide to avoid them, is my point. So do you
Yeah.
want to avoid them?
Yeah, I absolutely want to avoid them.
Okay, so you duck back to where Burple is?
Well, I'm just wondering, Burple, whether we want to take a quick scout down to the southeast where this what looks to be an outflow is.
That's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing.
Do you want to take a quick look, or shall we go back, this is what we've seen, this is something we can do later on?
Well, that was the view I took last time. That was exactly as far as I got. Is that I don't want to explore any further because there's jelly stuff around.
Let's say it's 11:30 now. Yep. We said that we gave you 10 minutes for Alessandra to do this exploring thing. It takes you a little time to rappel down the pit and then gingerly work your way down the pipe and then do a bit of exploration. Get cross with me if you think I'm rolling the clock forward too fast, but you've got half an hour.
I think we've done plenty of exploration for the time being. Let's go and rest up, do a bout of stuff, and come back down when we've got more time to do this.
Oh, we've got half an hour.
I don't think we ever have
combat.
much more time, do we?
No.
We're always going to be in that kind of window between 10:30 and midnight while we're still
Yes.
inside.
So we've got half an hour. We've got to make the most use of it.
The impression you got was that it was about 10 o'clock at night, that certainly this evening anyway, if it's anything to go by. After about 10, everything quietened down. The guards seemed to just kind of not be particularly interested, and the patrols and the lighting went dim. The patrols became more scarce,
Okay, well, in which case, let's go for it.
If you want, I can run down here
Well, there's a rope.
because I move something like 160 feet around.
You've got to make a decision. Are you avoiding these jellies or not? If you avoid the jellies, then you could make a decision about what to do next. If you're not avoiding the jellies, then the jellies are going to slither their way up to you, and you're going to have to deal with the jellies. What do you want to do?
I want to obviously avoid the jellies.
Okay, so let's just say that the two of you duck back up the conduit, back towards the pit, the way you came, in order to avoid the jellies. And they don't follow you. They just sort of blurble about on the ceiling.
But surely it's possible to avoid the jellies and go and explore this other exit of the pool.
It is. You'd probably need to collect yourselves together.
Okay, so what we can do is we can go back up, tell everybody what we've seen, say we've got half an hour, we can get back down there. There's a exit from this cavern area, which we've got a bit of time we can go and explore before coming back and resting up for the night. Shall we go and do that?
Well, yeah, yes, I don't
Bane
mind
of
going
hay.
down, and I can run down that corridor and have a look if you want.
I will actively avoid the jellies.
You head back, Alessandra. You lay out the plan. They agree to it.
Okay, so we need to deal with these ochre jelly so that we can use this route.
Yes, you could try and
Can I use
eradicate
any
them.
kind of knowledge check to know what they do?
Yeah, give me an intelligence check.
Getting a 16.
Okay. You think that they're ochre jellies. You've heard of them.
Yes.
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 You
With my
think they
bardic knowledge.
Well, I mean, no. What we're really saying is, we're going to be careful here. You feel that they are. The danger is that if you attack them if you harm them in the wrong way, they may split into multiple iterations of themselves. You can't quite remember, Burple, exactly what it is. You've got a nasty feeling it's something to do with either fire or lightning. You also know that they move quite slowly and that they're not very intelligent. Your sense from looking at the size of this chamber was that a concerted effort to avoid them would probably succeed. As in, they don't move fast enough. If you were to set yourselves up so as to dash across this chamber, slosh your way through the horribleness, and to the conduit on the other side, that you would probably comfortably make it before they could react. Especially if you waited for them to sort of. They've rather collected around where they detected obviously the heat or the warmth or the life sense of you and Alessandra. You don't know what would happen if you were to go back down, but were they to redistribute themselves in the chamber, you'd be very confident you could cross without trouble.
Bugraff, why don't you go and explore that other passageway then?
Well, yeah, that's what I was suggesting. I can just run.
Yeah, go and do it.
Run around.
We can always use Bugraft as a decoy.
Okay, so you're going to send Bugraft down.
I'm running around the edge of the cavern and peering down.
Yes, you could
there.
easily dodge the ochre jellies. You find yourself in a conduit, which comes up to probably almost up to your chin, because you're a wee little person.
So, is that difficult ground equivalent, or am I swimming?
Yeah, I'd say it was difficult ground. You find yourself in the water is flowing out into a little stream, an underground stream, that a human would be able to navigate with their head ducked down a bit. For you, and for a human, the water would be up to somewhere between their knee and their waist. For you, it's up to your chest at least. How far are you prepared to go?
Well, I can move 35 feet at half movement. I'm normally 70, so I'm at 35. I'll just got a light spell, and I'll just run until it looks something dangerous.
Okay, it goes on and on and on and on and on, Buggy. You must travel for 100, 200, 300 feet. This rivulet, there is a point at which there's an opportunity to take a right, but that is into a passageway that even you would struggle to navigate. Eventually, after a lot of sloshing through this passageway, you end up in a cave with a shallow pool of water. The cave is about 15 foot high. The cavern is empty. It's like a sort of teardrop-shaped pool that you've ended up at the bottom of the teardrop. There's a little island. There's a little cavern that you could climb up into. There's a passageway that leads off this pool that's above water level. And at the tip of the teardrop, Buggy, there's another little aperture that a human would struggle to navigate, but you would think you would be okay. You'd be able to keep your head above water. But the clearance above the water would mean a human would probably have to swim it or lie on their back in order to be able to breathe. And that water is flowing out of the pool.
I'll go up into the cavern.
Okay, well, it's relatively featureless. It's just, you can flash your light spell about.
Yeah.
There's nobody there.
No other exits, nothing. Have a quick search.
No,
around.
the only exits would be on the other side of the pool. There is a corridor that's above water level.
I'll try
about
that.
10 foot wide. You start stepping into that corridor, flashing your light around. You smell a smell, Buggy, that you are all too familiar with. And from the darkness in front of you, you hear a hiss. And before you can move a muscle, you hear the rush of feet running towards you down this corridor. And these awful figures just kind of leap out of the darkness at you. Buggy, you reckon you've got a split couple of moments to make a decision as to whether or not you're going to face these creatures rushing out of this passageway at you,
I'm not.
or
I'm
dive into the lake and try and
out.
make your escape.
I'm going to bug out.
Okay, you bug out. You swim off. You hear hissing and screeching behind you, but they don't follow you. They're not aquatic ghouls like the ones that did for Cuthbert, but they didn't do for Cuthbert. I know you always wanted to do for Cuthbert, Burple, but hey. So you can escape.
They're not following me, I think.
They're standing screeching at the bank of this. Right, there's a little passage that leads into the cavern with this pool in it that overlooks the pool, and they're not passing that. You can hear them hissing in the darkness.
So they don't really like the water very much.
It doesn't look like they do, or maybe that's the edge of their territory, or maybe they're,
I'll go up the
Who knows?
aperture. I may as well just bottom it out, if you know what I mean.
Ugh. Okay, try and keep things. Okay. Well, it's interesting that you should decide to push your way into that secret passage, as it were. If you follow that aperture and you follow the flow of the water, it doesn't take long, Buggy, before you emerge in the pool that was plugged, the pool that is connected to the room, the chamber near the Cenobi, what's called Titan's house. Alessandra has been there. Parker has been there. You've not been here yet, Buggy, but you have had it described to you. It's like an area where there are ruins, perhaps ruins of buildings or structures that are so old that perhaps they were surface structures that are now underground because they're so old. And it's unoccupied now because you're knocking on for midnight. But you know that on the other side of this passage, if Alessandra and the others have told you given you the right sense of things, you just walk back to the Cenobi.
Okay, well, I'll head back as fast as my little legs will go and tell the others that it connects up.
It looks like there's a network of sewers and natural rivulets and pools and all sorts down here that connects up everywhere. Interesting, useful to know.
Doesn't get us out though, does it? Doesn't connect out.
You
I think
don't
that
know.
might be that might be that other corridor that has the glyph in the ceiling. I think that might be the way out.
That's not a natural thing, right? That's a constructed thing.
How do we get past the glyph?
Good
Spell
question.
magic, maybe.
You'd gone hundreds of feet down that passageway before you found that glyph.
Yeah. So I think that might be a way out.
I think Buggy has wound the clock forward another 15 minutes with his adventure. So let's say it's 1:45.
What do we want to do? Do we want to fight the Harple, the Banshee?
But to be honest, we've got like 15 minutes, including travel time, to get back to our beds.
Yeah, I mean, a fight. How long does a fight take? Like a minute, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
Can I find a rat or something using my seek animals or something?
You can try and find a rat. I think I'd roll randomly to see if there was a rat for you to find. 1 to 3, there's a rat. 4 to 6, there isn't a rat. Rolling a dice. There's a rat. You find a rat somehow that's wibbled its way through a gap. What are you doing with it?
So, beast sense. Touch a willing beast for the duration of the spell. You can use your action to see through its eyes, see what it hears.
I'm assuming it's willing. Okay, whatever. Yep.
Then I've got speak with animals.
Mm-hmm.
I can comprehend and verbally communicate for the duration.
Try and sound a bit happier about
The
it. Johnny.
knowledge
Yep.
and awareness of many beasts is limited by their intelligence, but at a minimum, beasts can give you information about nearby locations and monsters.
Okay, well, and
Maybe
so
that
this
would be
rat-
better. I'll talk to it and say,
Hello.
what do I want to ask it? Anybody? Are there any secret?
Has it been beyond this door or that door, maybe?
Its name is Angelica Rat.
Hello.
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 Have you seen a big maggot thing? Green maggot. I don't know what a maggot is.
Yeah, the rat sort of goes back onto its back haunches and sort of goes, and it's clearly not happy to sort of consider that whatever is down that pipe. So you get the sense that it understands what you're talking about, but
It's afraid
just
of
the
it.
very mention of it, it doesn't like.
Anybody else got some suggestions what I can ask the rat?
Ask him what's in the room with the harpy.
Oh yeah,
The harple.
the horrible screeching. Do you know
Oh,
what's in
yeah.
How
there?
many creatures are there in that room?
I can't get in. We can't get into there. There's a very nice smells of some very nice refuse and ordure. I would love to get my little, very prominent front 2 teeth into some very nasty things in there, but it's all sealed up, and nobody ever opens that door apart from the thing with the hooves. There's the big thing with the hooves
The
that
big
opens the door.
The big thing
And
with the hooves.
every now and again that door opens, but I don't dare go in. There are things in there, big nasty things, and worms, little worms.
There's a minotaur around here somewhere. Is that correct? Did we see one?
Eh?
I don't know. Did we see one?
No.
Ah, okay. I'm just, yeah,
Have you been taking my drugs?
maybe. Would appear.
Yeah.
Maybe that
Well,
way.
I'm talking to a rat, so
Maybe there's a statue or something like that somewhere in the understructure. In the understructure?
Maybe I
anyway,
just made it up. I don't
Maybe you
know.
just made it up.
Is there nowhere else to search? Those stairs.
I mean, there are acres and acres of stuff to search.
Search the corridors for as long as we can.
Well, you've got about 20 minutes. You've got to search the orbital corridors in the structure above.
Yeah.
You don't find anything. I'm going to hand wave any stealth checks, any chance of being surprised by guards. I think you're used to the way that this works now. You don't find anything. You can pad around the corridors, avoiding the little refectory where the guards that are off duty sit and play dice and drink beer and so forth. And you can start searching and looking, peering in little cracks, looking down little corridors, hoping for stuff, and you find nothing.
Okay.
You don't find anything in the small period of time that you allot to it. Midnight.
Mm-hmm.
go to sleep.
Go to bed.
Biddy bye boobles.
At the moment of midnight, Parker, you're all settling down in your allocated chamber in the Cenobie, trying to get your 8 hours. The orrery, Parker.
Finally the orrery, yeah.
It.
Is it now going to align?
I'm assuming when
Was it
you sold
sat-nav
the
and-
Heward's handy haversack, which you were keeping the orrery in, that you didn't sell the orrery with it.
No.
So you've been carrying it around with you. I mean, it's the size of a cake tin, bigger,
Yeah.
really. So God knows where you've got it. But assuming it's stuffed in a backpack or something,
Yeah. it's
you
just in a
feel it
backpack.
sort of warble into life a little. I mean,
Ooh.
it's always very slowly moving. Yes,
Well, I have asked you
replicating.
several times because we work out that it was going to align very
Yes,
very
we
soon.
did. We did. When was
Is
it that you
Super
remember?
T and Satnav?
It wasn't.
Maybe.
But that's not a
What-
bad go.
Not bad guess.
It's not a bad guess. Let me just retrieve my extremely, as you know, this whole the whole cosmology of our world of Hearth, our universe, is perfectly mapped out and organised. I just can't find it, but I will any second. Give me a moment here, please, caller. You're talking about the conjunction of
Yeah.
genius and uterus.
Ah, Okay.
And you will, of course, remember when this conjunction was going to take place.
When?
On the third day of Misrule.
Oh, yes, which is...
Which is
2 days,
3 days
time.
from now. Midnight has just clicked over. You have left the month of Fumbulary at fucking last, frankly. And you have moved into the 4 days of the Festival of Misrule that sit between Fumbulary and the month of Fart. And at the moment that midnight strikes, Parker, the orrery seems to sort of, I don't know, you get a sense of energy from it. Like, it's not moving any quicker, but it feels like it's got something about it. Like there's a crackle about it. When you retrieve it from your backpack, you feel like it's like there seems to be some sort of glow or inherent illumination very slowly developing over it, like it's getting itself ready for something important. Right, and then off to bed you go.
Okay, interesting.
Right.
Can I do any kind of investigation check on it?
I mean, you just think that it's inexorably and as slower than the hands of a clock, slower than the growth of a plant. It is crawling its way around to the point where it will represent that conjunction in about, you think, at precisely 2:36 in the afternoon of the third day of Misrule.
There we go. Is that so? This energy is sort of emanating from
The thing
area
itself.
of Genius and uterus.
Yes, as they get closer and closer, I mean, they're, at the speed that this thing runs, and in terms of the way that it's representing their relative orbits and so forth, they're almost at the point where they are in conjunction as far as the orrery is concerned. So yes, you get the sense that it's just, it's nudging itself towards the point of climax. I'll just leave that
Right.
hanging there. And you take an 8-hour rest. At 8 in the morning, well before 8 in the morning, you hear the kind of the hustle and bustle of your fellow competitors organising themselves. They haven't been clambering around in the understructure.
Can we take a
searching
long
for-
rest?
You take a long rest. Yeah, press the button.
Press the button.
They haven't been, so far as you know, they haven't been searching around in the understructure and swimming through conduits and jumping through pools and, all that kind of crap. They've just been they've just been sleeping. Maybe a little bit of light sparring and a little bit of exercise and warming
When
up.
does Garth South Portal appear?
Not yet. At about 6 in the morning, everybody else starts getting up. You're like, oh, we'd love to get up, but we can't. We've got 2 hours left to do it.
2 hours left of sleeping.
Well,
Yeah.
we can get up.
So
We're just not allowed to do anything.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do anything, so you all kind of hang out. There's the sound of the kitchens come to life. There's the smell of food. There is the offer of coffee. There's the offer of
Lovely.
breakfast, which you can partake in, of course, as part of your rest.
Lovely.
There's lots of chatter about the bout.
I'll have the full even star.
The first fight is at 8. That will be between Death from Below, which is the Umber Hulks, controlled by the gnome with the jeweled eyepieces, and Dyson Desire, Casino and Pleasure House, now taking bookings through Apeshit and Mage. You're on at 9, and so you're persisting with your rest. I mean, it doesn't preclude you from being out and about. And there's a sort of weird atmosphere where there's a kind of camaraderie between all of the different competitors, but everybody understands that only half of you will still be there at the end of this day. It's a kind of big deal. At about sort of 7:45, the Talabir appears in the Cenobite with Okaral, the head of security, and a bunch of guards, and a couple of functionaries, scribes. Good morning, gladiators. I hope you're looking forward to our first day of competition. Very soon I shall be taking a Dyson Desire, Casino and Pleasure House now taking bookings through Apeshit and Mage, and their opponents Death from Below up to the arena for their first bout. The Flayer Slayers, he looks over at you. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Newt the Sight from Orbit, good morning. They haven't come out of their room. It's still closed. He kind of looks a bit out of sorts about that. I shall be down shortly in order to escort you to the arena for your bout. Please make sure all competitors that you are prepared and ready for your moment in the spotlight. Now, I shall return shortly. Behind him, squiddling over the little bridge that comes over the stream in the Cenobite, comes Garth South Portal. He kind of does that thing where he's behind Talabir, who's talking to you. He does that eyebrow all right, everybody, kind of thing, without saying anything. Yep. And Talabir heads off with the 2 sets of competitors, Dyson Desire, Death from Below, and Garth South Portal sidles his way over to you. Hi, everybody. Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Great. Good.
Very exciting day. Only, what is it now? He looks at the watch that would be massively anachronistic, but we are in a kind of gladiator movie, right? So, only an hour or so now until your bout. Good luck with that. Where are your opponents? He's looking around the scenery.
They haven't come out.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure they'll emerge shortly. Any news about last night? Any news on my sister?
On your sister, no.
Not yet.
Okay, nothing. Did you have a chance to
We started.
explore?
Yes.
Yeah, we did have a bit of explore. How would
There
we
is
get a message to Eligos?
Oh, well, I can see Eligos later. You may get to see Eligos later too. I mean, I'm every confidence in you, but obviously, if things should not go well in the next hour or so, then we can all go and see her together.
I'll say to him, okay, tell Eligos there is a giant worm underneath the arena.
His eyes widen in amazement.
Okay, fair
giant
enough.
Worm?
And there was I thinking whether we couldn't find
Oh,
some sort
yeah.
of cryptic message that Eligos would understand, but he wouldn't.
And,
That's it. There's a fucking worm under the stadium.
That's a
Fucking
giant-
big worm.
There's a fucking great worm under the stadium. Panic now. But try and
Evacuate the
get to
city.
Eligos without panicking. Yeah, it's gonna ravage the city.
He
and kill
looks,
everybody.
he looks utterly kind of overwhelmed and bewildered by this news. He knew you were doing something for, he knew that Eligos he was there when she discussed why you were going into the arena. So he understands the kind of stakes, but that's quite a blunt message, kind of a blunt warning of doom. He sort of takes a step back and he says, and my sister? Any
And more importantly,
does
we
this
think
relate
that
to
you
this
should-
at all?
More importantly,
Well-
we think you should go and tell Eligos this right now.
Well, I mean, yes, but I do need to be here for your bout, which is
But
in.
you only need 10
he
minutes
looks at
to
his
get there.
anachronistic watch again. Well, I could get back within an hour, I suppose.
Yeah, off you go.
Yeah, off you go.
Okay. Well, look, I'll see you.
Right.
I'll see you on the arena floor.
Quickly.
Will
Well,
you
he-
be on the arena floor, will you?
Well, yes, I should be out there for the bout. Yes,
And you'll be fighting with us, will you?
as your man. No, I won't be doing that. Right, and he's off. Waistcoat, everything. And he sort of darts off, heading towards. You suspect you presume the elevator. You're allowed to complete your long rest. 8 o'clock comes and goes. The other 2 teams have gone up, and after about sort of 8:15, 8:20, you hear the sound of movement, and it is Dyson Desire Casino and Pleasure House who emerge with Talabir and all of the other functionaries following their victory over Death from Below. And let's face it, Death from Below were torpedoed by the rule about not being allowed to burrow under the arena floor, which was kind of the foundation stone of their strategy. So, well, Dyson Desire Casino and Pleasure House look extremely pleased with themselves. Their bard, Dweezil Zanfafir, is singing a little song about their exploits as they cavort back into the scenery. You get about another half an hour. And then Talabir appears again with his functionaries, the clipboards, the Ockerel, the head of security, a couple of guards. Flayer Slayers, can I please speak to the captain of the Flayer Slayers, who I believe is called Bugra Flange?
Yes, that's me. Hello.
And Newt the sight from orbit. And just at the last instant, the door of the little cabin swings open and out emerges this enormous blue frog monster and this little wizened old man who looks like he's more like, he takes me for a walk. Yeah, it's like he's just sort of behind it. It's got this spiked collar, this chain that goes back to
Slod.
this old man.
Mm.
Yeah, some kind of
Sluddy,
awful kind
whatever
of
they
frog
call it.
demon, and this other little elderly figure who seems to be sort of basically been sent to kind of try and keep it in some sort of order. And they pad out, and you kind of stand and balefully regard each other. Talabir runs through the rules. We're not going to do them again.
What do I know about Blue Slod? Can I make an intelligence check?
All of you can make an intelligence check.
Intelligence check.
Ooh, rolling a die.
Well, there's no reason not to. I mean, nobody's got any particular
Burple gets a
6.
3.
Monopoly on knowledge. I mean, I think we can say that the
We haven't been paying attention in school.
the target number
Alessandra.
is a challenge, but Alessandra,
Wow.
wow,
Yeah, 22.
22. What can I tell you about Blue Slard? Well, first of all, the frog wizards of Bonce, from everything you understand about them, are a rigorously controlled and sort of group of super intelligent wizards that practice amphibomancy, whereas Slard are kind of barely controllable, weird pan-dimensional frog lunatics. So what's going on there? You're not sure.
But what do they do in combat?
In combat, they tend to try and turn you into Slard, basically.
Right.
Pretty much all the Slard life cycle. Again, Alessandra, with the 22, we can go so far, but not too far. Your recollection, Alessandra, is that the Slard have a sort of weird hierarchy, and that effectively one type of Slard tries to beget other types of Slard in a kind of sliding scale of Slardness, ending at something called a death Slard. And the blue Slard is kind of relatively down near the bottom. Yeah. Because you're only 7th level. That is it. The other thing that you know, something that you've probably forgotten because you've all forgotten everything, but I will remind you of, is that you do know that Slard are born or can be born with a gem embedded within their chest, their thorax, that makes them controllable, and that your sense is that must be what is going on here, that this little old wizened dude must have some kind of control over this blue thing. So maybe the wizard, you don't know, maybe the wizard dude is a frog wizard of Bonce. You just don't know. Maybe that's what amphibomancy is. Again, you just don't know.
Okay.
But the main problem with a blue Slard is that it's big, scary, very resilient, and its attacks are not subtle or clever or magical, but there is a danger that if it sufficiently damages you or damages you in the right way,
Turned into one. Yeah.
you may be on a one-way trip to Slardland. Yeah.
Slardland, excellent.
Sladdom.
What's their reach?
Slardston. Slardingtons. Slardsville.
Slads.
On the last train to Slardsville.
Sladston. Sladston Junction.
Yes. You may find yourself
On a one-way trip to Sladston
on
Junction.
a one-way trip to Slardston Junction. Yeah. It's like my Oyster
Very
card's
good.
not working. My Oyster card's not working.
Yeah, try your frog card.
This is a passenger announcement. This train calling at all stations.
So, if you've all agreed to the rules, let us proceed to the arena. And
Yay!
you're marched up the stairs, around the orbital passageway that you spent so much time last night creeping around. All the lamps are now lit, the guards are interested in you and kind of smile at you as you go by.
So if we walk really slowly, do the guards have to walk really slowly?
If you want them to, yes. If that's some way you may derive satisfaction. But
We'll
Talabir,
walk really quickly and then really slowly.
Slowly.
And then really quickly again.
I mean, Talabir is leading. Why are you walking slowly? And then quickly, and then slowly again.
Training.
You have to do him with a little bit of echo on his voice.
My
Like a PA.
intonation is all about selling things and ideas, but it's not great for asking questions about irrational behavior. I'm rather out of my depth here. See how they speed up and then slow down. It's so easy to control the speed if you've got the new Gladiator 4.3. So you get taken around this thing. You stand at the foot of the alligator. At the foot of the alligator.
The alligator.
You stand at the foot of the alligator. Stand at the foot of the elevator. You stand in the chamber where the elevator is
Going well.
being cranked down to receive you. And Talabir turns to you and says, I am now going to flip the coin of choice. Bugraff Flange. He seems to just decide that you're the person, Bugraff, to make the decision. Please call heads or tails. And up the coin goes. What are you calling?
Tails.
Tails it is. You may ride the elevator to the arena floor first and pick your ground. Please proceed onto the elevator platform. And the elevator lowers, you climb on, you're winched up into the arena. There's a crowd of 20,000 enthusiastic Evenstarians, very excited to see you winched up onto the floor of the arena. Let's just unroll the arena map while we're at it and move you onto it. The elevator comes up just north of, right in the kind of apex, the end of the ellipse of the arena. There are two circles marked out on the ground. One in a sort of circle of blue runes, one in a circle of kind of red runes. Yep. There doesn't seem to be any particular significance. I mean, the crowd seem interested in what you're going to pick, but there doesn't seem to be any particular significance looking at it. There's no sense that these runes are magical. I mean, they may be mildly magical in a cosmetic sense, in the sense that they're quite easy to pick out. They may be quite kind of well illuminated, but they don't seem to be doing anything. Where would you like to pick your ground?
Who are the two guys standing on either side?
There are
of the
two
circles?
officials in black and white striped leather armor.
Okay.
Ask one of the officials what the difference is between the runes.
The official, she says, only the competitors may choose their ground. The referees may not advise.
Can we ask which end Dyson Desire something hotel and taking bookings till whenever we're at?
Thanks, Graham.
Dyson Desire selected the blue circle.
Well, that seems lucky. We'll stay there.
Yeah.
Well done, Graham.
Okay, well, the elevator descends, and over the course of about the next 5 minutes or so, Newt the Sight from Orbit are brought up into the arena. The crowd have already decided that they are on your side. You suspect because of the alternative. Right? They don't know who you are. They don't care who you are. But they don't like the giant blue frog creature. They don't like the frog wizards of Bonts. So they're the kind of pantomime bad guys. Yeah.
Has Garth returned yet?
Garth has not returned. No. Garth has had about 40 minutes. So he said he'd see you on the arena floor, but you don't know whether or not he's going to make it for the beginning of stuff. The giant frog is walked across the arena floor into the red circle. The little old man stands there too. Talabir appears behind the throne, and Loris Rachnian emerges from the shadows behind the throne to a sort of applause from the crowd, right? He's the kind of master of games, but they're not. He's clearly not a naturally kind of charismatic man. He sits there and he kind of waves and nods to the crowd. Talabir stands behind the throne. People of Evenstar, it is time for our second battle of the day. We will see the barbarians. Kind of points over to you. From the desolate wastes of the Cairn Hills, from the dreadful slums of Diamond Lake, a small band of inexperienced ingenues. And in the red circle, the dark, giant blue monster from beyond the Newell Mountains, Newt the Sight from Orbit. And the crowd are like, you choose your ground. Talabir is standing behind the throne. He seems to check with a couple of stewards, and he lifts his hand high in the air and then drops it abruptly. And there are two statues on either side of the dais that the throne is on, herald statues with trumpets, and they kind of creak into life. They point their trumpets to the sky, and they sound the beginning of the bout, and we will pick things up next week.
The Billowing Hilltop podcast is a Billowing Hilltop production. Dungeons & Dragons is a trademark of Wizards of the Coast. The Champion's Belt and Age of Worms are copyright Paizo. The Champion's Belt was written by Tito Lietti. Music is from Kevin MacLeod and Incompetech.com and is used with thanks under the Creative Commons license. Additional music and sound effects come from the wonderful Sirenscape. All other original material is copyright Billowing Hilltop. Role-playing games are all about getting people together, and we use Roll20 as our tabletop, the perfect place to host your game, and Discord to host our chat. Thanks for listening!